This is Arrow. Arrow loves to bark. She is a miniature or class Alaskan Klee. She's not a small husky. I get people commenting on my Facebook page all the time. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in this video a focus exercise. Now, a lot of trainers, when they teach the focus or look at me or watch me, they will hold the treat like this. And see how the dog looked up at me? Dogs have, and I'm pretty sure she's got it in her brain, cortisol in their blood, which is the stress hormone. This is what we get if you're walking down a dark alley and you hear footsteps behind you. Your heart rate starts going faster, you breathe a little faster. It's your body's way of preparing you for fight or flight. And it helps you in a very limited capacity, but if you're in it for a long capacity, like veterans or soldiers, first responders, they can develop PTSD. So a lot of dogs that don't have a lot of rules and structure or are over-petted, or there's a lot of reasons for it, but they will develop, start getting cortisol in their blood, and there's a reason for telling you all this, but that makes them jittery and jumpy and everything like is more amplified. So the reason I mention this is if I go like this to get her to look at me in the face, then it doesn't give me any benefits. However, if your dog voluntarily looks at you in the eyes for longer than 7 seconds, it starts releasing oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine into your brain and into the dog's brain. Your body cannot produce cortisol and oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine in the same. So if your dog is stressed and you do this exercise, you can stop off the production of the stress hormone and release the pleasure endorphins, which will actually help. So the way that I do this is a bit of a more of an operant conditioning format. So I have a bunch of treats in this hand. I'm a righty. I'm holding one between my thumb and forefinger. Yes, that was smarty. And then what I do is I'm putting them down on my knee. Now I'm not gonna move my hands around my knees at all. I'm watching her eyes intently. Now she's gonna try to take it. That's a leadership quality. She scratches at it, nothing happens. I'm not gonna move it whatsoever. The instant she looks at my face, I'm gonna raise it to my nose, and then I'm gonna go straight to her mouth. And you have to watch her like a hawk, because the first couple times the dog does it, and I think I missed one, the dog loses interest really fast. So you have to wait. And as soon as she looks up at my face, focus. And I say the word focus after it goes in her mouth. Anytime you use a treat, the dog should always hear the command word immediately after the treat goes in their mouth. Normally I'd be sitting, but she's so little I thought it'd be easier to do on the floor. Now she's biting pretty good, but I'm just watching. I'm shielding it by holding it against my leg. As soon as she looks up at me, that's when she's going to get the treat. The only thing, well, I guess if she tries to move away, sit. The only way that she can get this is by looking me in the face. So if a dog voluntarily looks you in the face, it releases the oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. But if you force the dog or lure the dog into looking in the face, you don't get that benefit. That's why I teach it this way as opposed to the way dog trainers do, which is a lot easier, as you can see right here. All right, so let's try that again. Sit. Once they get it, they're just like staring at you like a stalker. Now, if she's looking at the treat exclusively, it's almost like she's objectifying the treat. I want her to understand the treat comes from me. So as soon as she looks in the face, that's when the treat starts coming. Now, I raise to my nose because I want to maintain the gaze to her gaze to my face. All right, I'm going to cheat a little bit for you because usually dogs are getting it by now. Sit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer a little bit of a light blow. Focus. Then I immediately reload so she knows we're still playing this game. No blow. Focus. Now when I'm doing this, I'm doing 1 second on each movement. I'll show you. 1 second, 1 second. Focus. I'm not holding at my nose, which is a mistake a lot of people make. Focus. I want to keep it a straight line when I go to my nose to maintain visual acuity in my face. Focus. Now you see she's got it, so she's looking at me faster and faster. Now first it's 1 second, 1 second, focus. Don't count it out loud, I'm just doing that for demonstration purposes. Eventually you're going to do it like this. Focus. Now I'm doing this exercise with her for a couple of reasons. Number one, she seems to be eye contact dominant or reactive when people look in the eye. This helps her focus. It helps her practice something good happening when she looks people in the face, which will help eliminate that behavior. The other thing is, like I mentioned, stop the production of stress hormone. Focus. Eventually, though, if your dog is doing something you don't want, you say focus, snap what they're doing, and look right up at you. So when you're first doing it, I usually do this about 12 treats, and all 12 treats at first 1 second, 1 second, focus for all 12 treats. Second time, we might do it over there. Do it in different locations each day. Each time you do it, each one of you should probably do this 3 times a day. You want to get to the point where you're at a 15-second focus within a week. because the dog will get bored, as you saw right there, and start wandering off. So do it and make it a positive experience. And if the dog starts showing you signs, I'm not interested in doing this, get a good one and stop it. Dog training is really best when it's done in 90-second increments or less. The dogs start getting bored and they get frustrated and then they don't want to do it again. She's just trying to go straight to the bag. She's a smarty pants. Now to make a dog sit, I usually go like this. Sit. And I let her lick it off. Now she's not a big fan of me touching her, that's why she's barking. But usually I like to tickle under the chin to facilitate that nose up. But that's the hand motion I was talking to you about as off camera. So when you're doing this, at first, 1 second, focus. And for all 12 treats. And the second time we do it, might go 1 second, 2 seconds on the second movement only. And for all 12 treats. And the next time I might go 1 second, 3 seconds. Now it doesn't necessarily go each time. You might have to practice a couple times at 1 second, a couple revolution of all 12 treats. So if the dog looks away, then you need to back up a step and practice the previous step. But the idea is eventually you can say focus and dog stops just doing and looks up at you. You've stopped the production of cortisol. You've given the dog a redirection to look at you as opposed to whatever they're focusing at. And eventually, I do this one on walks sometimes when the dog looks up at me. I raise my nose, and as we're walking, I'm going like this. Focus. And you get them out of whatever they're looking at. So get up to the point where within a week, you're at that 15-second mark. The next step is to practice when there's a little bit of a distraction. You guys have a deck? So I do it on the deck. When maybe not, sometimes with construction, sometimes not. They have construction going on right next door. Ideally, it would be better not, because there's other distractions. But the idea is we want to put her in a position to succeed by practicing in progressively more and more challenging scenarios. So first, it's inside the house, all over the house. I've already been all over the house. I know. I'm going to give you more treats in a sec. But then we do it outside on the deck, so it's outside. That's not the same thing as being on the street. Then we want to do it outside, just right outside your door. And each time when we go from inside to outside, I might go back to 1 second, 1 second. Focus. But now we can move faster. I might go 1 second for 3 treats. The next 3 treats, I might do 2 seconds. And you want to get to the point where you're 15 seconds outside on the deck or outside your front door. Then you want to do this when you're on a walk and there's no other dogs around, there's no people around, there's no reason for her to distract her. I'm just using this to distract her. She always can't sniff and bark at the same time. And so eventually you want to do it while you're walking. And at first it's 1 second, 1 second, but eventually it's 1 second. And the dog's like running into stuff because it's looking up at you as opposed to looking at stuff on the street on what it's going to bark at. But this will help, and I would have guests that she barks at. Do this with her first yourself, and then give 3 or 4 times to get her warmed up, and then give the guest the treats. Now the guest she's learning to look at the guest in the face without barking, because the barking doesn't, and if she starts barking, stop and just wait for the stopping of the barking. But eventually this teaches her a good interaction with the guest, and she likes that, and we stop the production of the cortisol. So if you do notice her, she's pacing, she's breathing heavy, she seems stressed, this is a wonderful time to do this exercise because you can stop that production of cortisol and help her recenter herself. If I'm about to get mugged and I go into a restaurant right afterwards, I can't just immediately turn my appetite on. I have to let my body filter out that stuff, adrenaline and cortisol out of my blood. Dogs, the same sort of situation. Now in her case, I think the lack of rules early on has confused her into thinking that she has the same authority as her humans, or I think she actually thinks she's possessive or protective of at least one of the humans in the house. Probably not the human who's failing right now. All right, well, if you have questions on this, make sure you let me know. But again, get to that within 1 week, the 15-second focus inside, then try to within a couple days. So by the end of 2 weeks, you should be able to walk in the street with no dogs around and say focus. She looks up and takes 5 or 6 steps as you go down. Then if you're out walking, she sees another dog or person and she starts to bark and say focus. She looks up at you, and then as you're walking by, you're doing this slow stroke. By the time you actually pass the person she's barking at, you pop the treat in her mouth. She's like, all right, I'm going to bark at you. Oh, he's in the past. Okay. And then just on to the next adventure. Well, this is Arrow, and these are tips and tricks on how you can use the focus exercise to teach your dog to look up at you, stop production of the stress hormone, and redirect their attention.